Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into a multi-trillion-dollar juggernaut, the artificial intelligence industry. But, we're going to look right past all the flashy hype and look straight at the fragile economic realities underneath it all. Is this current boom built on rock-solid ground, or is it just a massive house of cards waiting to tip over? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a truly massive number, $100 billion. That was the reported size of a mega deal between chipmaker Nvidia and OpenAI. That's enough money to fund entire countries. But then, almost overnight, it just evaporated.
And the fallout was pretty wild. The Guardian actually reported that market watchers are catching a serious whiff of the 1999-2000 dot-com bubble. What happened was Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, privately backtracked on the whole thing, calling the deal non-binding. Bam! That caused an immediate 10% hit to Nvidia's stock. Honestly, it signaled a potential crack in the very foundation of the AI boom. It really forces us to take a step back and ask, what is actually holding this whole industry up?
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll look at the AI market wobbles, big tech's circular economy, the myth of AGI, arms races and regulation, the real-world costs, and finally, what a different AI future could look like.
All right, Section 1. Let's look at why the AI market is wobbling.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the stark contrast going on over at OpenAI. On one hand, they have committed a staggering $1 trillion, trillion with a T, in compute infrastructure deals. But on the other hand, ChatGPT's market share actually eroded from 69% down to 45% because of fierce competition. So they've had to kind of retreat from these grand sci-fi promises and scramble for immediate cash. And where are they finding it? Highly mundane stuff, like digital advertising and adult content. It's this wild situation where a massive infrastructure spend is just desperately searching for a sustainable business model.
Moving on to Section 2, Big Tech's Circular Economy.
So to understand how these companies can make trillion-dollar promises they might not actually be able to keep, we really need to look at the underlying architecture of big tech itself. The AI Now Institute just put out this incredible landscape report titled Artificial Power, and they argue that AI isn't just a tech revolution, it's fundamentally about consolidating power into the hands of a few tech giants. It's essentially a structural economic maneuver.
Analysts actually call this setup a circular economy. Here's how it works. You have the hyperscalers, think massive cloud providers like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, and they invest billions into AI startups like OpenAI or Anthropic. But there is a massive catch. Those startups are effectively required to spend that exact investment money buying compute and cloud resources right back from the very same hyperscalers. So the money, it literally just loops right back to the giants.
It's a brilliant, if entirely enclosed system. These tech giants rely entirely on a scale-is-all-you-need paradigm. Because they own the physical data centers and the cloud infrastructure, it honestly doesn't matter to them which individual AI startup wins or fails. It's like a casino. The house always wins. They lock the entire ecosystem into their hardware and software, which makes true independent competition almost impossible without their explicit permission.
Which brings us to Section 3, the myth of AGI.
Okay, so to justify burning through billions and billions of dollars in this circular loop, these companies have to sell us a really compelling narrative. And that narrative is AGI, or Artificial General Intelligence. It's this hypothetical, super advanced machine intelligence meant to rival human intellect. It's the ultimate promise, right? But here's the kicker. In a recent survey of actual AI researchers, a massive 76% said that simply scaling up current tech is unlikely to ever achieve AGI. Basically, the scientific consensus does not match the marketing hype.
We are constantly sold these utopian promises, aren't we? We're told AI is going to cure diseases, solve climate change, and poverty. But let's look at the actual reality for a second. Right now, what we mostly have are incredibly expensive tools being shoved into everyday software to do things like generate deepfakes, displace workers, or power surveillance pricing in your local grocery store. It's a pretty far cry from utopia.
Let's jump to Section 4, Arms Races and Regulation.
Now, how do you protect these massive, highly speculative investments from pesky government oversight? You constantly shift the political narrative. We can actually track this. Back in the late 2010s, tech companies used arms race rhetoric against China to fight off data privacy laws. Fast forward to 2023, and suddenly abstract existential risks dominated the conversation, which effectively let them regulate themselves. And now, in 2025, we're seeing this rapid, bipartisan shift toward AI industrial policy,
where governments are actively funding the industry while rolling back regulations, all in the name of national security.
And you can see how this leads directly to the militarization of AI. It's pretty wild. OpenAI quietly shifted its policies to actually allow military use. Palantir's CEO recently stated their goal is literally to, and I quote, scare our enemies and on occasion kill them. Meanwhile, Nvidia is pushing this concept of sovereign AI globally to sell chips directly to nation-states. This whole arms race rhetoric actively transforms AI from a basic consumer product into a totally deregulated national security imperative. It makes the tech giants virtually untouchable.
All right, Section 5. Let's talk about the real-world costs. Because when this abstract digital world collides with our physical reality, the material costs are staggering. Look at data center power demand. They now consume almost 4.6% of all energy in the US. That is double what they used in 2018, and projections are showing a mind-boggling 160% growth by 2030. The sheer scale of AI compute is wreaking havoc on our energy grid. So that massive carbon footprint, it quietly, completely contradicts any of those grand claims that AI is automatically going to solve climate change.
So, to feed this totally insatiable energy demand, industry lobbyists are pushing what they call an abundance agenda. But the irony here is just striking. We're seeing federal subsidies pouring into data centers, a massive push for nuclear power expansion, and get this, even executive orders ramping up domestic coal mining specifically to power AI data centers. We're objectively seeing the push for AI innovation being used to fast-track fossil fuel use and energy deregulation.
Moving on to our final section, a different AI future.
So if the current system is this fragile, extractive, and basically only benefits a tiny tech oligarchy, what exactly is the alternative? Well, the AI Now Institute really emphasizes that this trajectory we're on, it isn't inevitable. They've laid out a super clear roadmap for action to push back against these massive scale requirements and actually reclaim public power over our technological future.
And their solutions are highly actionable. First, they suggest enacting a zero-trust policy agenda. Basically, stop letting tech companies grade their own safety homework. Second, target the material conditions by focusing on economic populism and good jobs. Third, organize workers across the entire AI supply chain. And finally, just break away from the massive scale paradigm entirely. We can favor smaller, highly efficient models that do the job, but don't require literally burning down the energy grid.
The report distills everything down to one incredibly simple but really profound question. Is this the world we want? It's a great reminder that we actually have agency here. We can demand strong antitrust enforcement, energy sustainability, and we can choose to build tech that genuinely serves the public.
So, I'll leave you with this thought to ponder today. Are we building a future we actually want, or are we just passively accepting the one big tech is selling us? As we watch this $100 billion AI economy continue to wobble, it's definitely a question we cannot afford to ignore. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer today, and remember to always keep questioning what you're sold. Catch you next time.